Welcome to the Paths We Take podcast. I'm your host, Jordan DeSange. Let's hit a path. Hey there, and welcome back to The Paths We Take. In today's episode, I am joined by Andy Lee. Andy is one of the co-founders of TWL, Train Without Limits, a hybrid and activewear company that started here in Adelaide. In today's episode, Andy chats with me about moving from the corporate world to start a business with his good friend. He shares with me his journey through leaving his corporate job, starting the business, the journey of starting the business, and growing the business as well. We talk about over the last 11 plus years and just kind of his roller coaster from building TWL and it now being one of the biggest brands in the hybrid space. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. This episode is brought to you by the Kova House. The Kova House just isn't another running brand. For the Kova House, running isn't about your pace, your time, or your distance. It's about your ability to endure. That is why I love this brand. I think running can be for everybody, no matter your pace, your time, your distance. Running is about showing up when it's hard, pushing through when it would be easier to stop, and building that mental toughness that carries over into every part of your life. This is why I have partnered with the Kova House. This is a running brand through and through. Every piece is built for the run. For those early mornings, those long sessions, the hard efforts, the days you don't feel like doing it, for the races that you are registered in and racing in, for those park runs, it is for it all. It's made to perform when it matters the most. The Kova House is officially launching April 30th, and there is a very limited first drop. And each drop is going to be limited as well. So once the things are gone, they're gone. So if you are wanting something, it is important to get onto it right away. So if you want to be part of this brand from day one, keep an eye out. I'll have everything linked out in the show notes for you. You can head to the website, subscribe, and get early access to the first launch. This episode is also brought to you by Re Your Run. Re offers seriously clear, cool sunnies that adapt to the changes of light while you're going through your runs. They are super clear, budge-free, and literally the only sunnies that I have been wearing for like the last 6 months since I partnered with them. All of you listeners can save 10% off. They have also just had a brand new release with new colors and new styles as well on their website. You can use code Jordan10 to save 10% off your sunnies and just kind of score some great quality sunnies that aren't as expensive as some of the other brands out there as well. Now, again, use code Jordan10 and you can save 10% off. They ship multiple countries. Of course, they are an Australian brand, so you will get free shipping here in Australia if you have a minimum spending purchase. Thank you, Re, for sponsoring this episode.
Awesome.
Well, thanks, Andy, for coming on the show. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Great to be here.
Yeah, that's all right. The first question that I like to ask everybody on the show is, for the listener listening right now, if they had, let's say, an autobiography or your story, maybe share with us some cliff notes or something that the person listening right now would read.
All right. Hit him with the big one coming out.
Yeah.
You sent me this question earlier and it's been swirling around in my head.
Okay.
What I sort of landed on was, I don't know if you remember as a kid, you used to read these Choose Your Own Adventure books. So you would start off on a certain path and then you would get to a point with a fork in the road. And then you would make a choice at the certain point in time, that direction you would go. And then the next step would then lead on from there. So when it's looking back on my life so far, I think it's a choose your own adventure. So it would start out a kid, if I wrote it as a kid, it would be a sports autobiography. I would have loved to play professional sports. I definitely wasn't gifted with all the athletic talent. The heart was definitely there, but so early years, a bit of that. And then you get into school, and then you're thinking, okay, where's my life going to go? I should really put my head down and learn and see what I'm really interested in. So you do that. You go through school, and then you think, okay, the next decision for me is what am I going to do with my life after school? And I think a lot of people feel burdened by that question, as did I. Luckily, had good people around me. So then you choose a university course. It's very structured, which is where I sort of thought my life was going. So whether dreams of playing professional sport as a kid, then it transitioned to working on Wall Street, finance, exciting, big businesses, and that's where I thought my path was going to go until, probably the next fork in the road is you get a professional job. You think that that's the path that you're on. You know where you're going, and you're putting in the hard work there, and then something along on the side sort of pops its head up, and it's a little opportunity. You don't think too much of it, and then you follow down that path a little bit, and it can change the trajectory of your life. So I feel like a choose your own adventure book, in that I think I'm going along this adventure on one sort of path, but then a little bit of the way into the book, you're presented with a fork and you need to choose, do I want to continue down this route, which for me was professional, wearing a suit to work every day, working in corporate finance, with aspirations of working on Wall Street, to then starting a little passion project on the side, which I didn't think too much of at the time. And then that completely changed my trajectory of life, my career, and the next sort of 13 years on from there. So going deep early, but for me, choose your own adventure, and you're in charge of that. And then whatever path you take is that next adventure on the journey for you.
So back when you were going through that uni route, when you were going through that, because it's quite a quick experience for us, right?
For
We
sure.
graduate year 12 and then you have to make a decision right away. What do you want to do, basically? Do you recall, do you remember what that was like for you? Like, did you have a clear path, a clear structure back then? Or were you struggling with that decision? How did you come up with what you wanted to get into?
Yeah, good question. Like I said, I was lucky to have some great people around me, super supportive parents. My mum was always, do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
Great mum. And then my dad was probably a bit more structured. He always said, hey, there's skill sets out there that it doesn't matter whatever you do, there'll be great skills for you. And that was sort of finance, accounting, very like classic career choices. My mum was a nurse, and my dad was in finance, accounting. So pretty classic paths. And they sort of said, obviously had my mum with probably the emotional side there of do something that you're happy.
Yeah.
And then my dad going, hey, if you have these skills, you'll be able to open doors.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you do accounting, you can work for an English Premier League team in their finance department. So you can join your passions there. So had that kind of background. One of the things is sort of overlaying the aptitude with interest. So what are you good at that you actually enjoy a little bit as well? So the tail end of school there, started gravitating towards finance and law, legal studies. Still tried to have a creative outlet because that was always important for me, because staring at black and white numbers in a book all the time was probably a large part of it, but I felt I still needed a creative outlet to channel that. So I still did sort of design and a creative subject in year 12, which is quite interesting. A lot of people will look at that on paper going, I see where you're going with this, but what's this hanging out over here? That's completely weird. But
Yeah.
I'm glad I did it.
Yeah.
It was a great balance for me. So I had an outlet amongst the real academic subjects
Yeah.
that are very career focused.
Yeah.
But at that time as well, I think year 10, 11, my school was lucky enough to have a career guidance counselor.
Okay.
That starts getting you engaged about year 9 or 10. And then my parents also sent me to a special, I guess back then it was like a test
Okay.
that you did. And
Yeah.
it felt like an exam where you sit in a room, small room, someone hands you a piece of paper and goes, answer these questions. And then you go, okay, I've got to answer these questions, and they're going to put it into a computer, and what's going to pop out is what I'm going to do after. So they had some, back then, I don't think they called it an algorithm, but some sort of formula.
Yeah.
And I think I got that back several weeks later and went, wow, okay, that's interesting. I think they said one of the things that's really spun me out was you would be good in the army.
Oh, wow.
So far out, okay.
Yeah.
What did that mean?
Yeah.
Structure, like routine, a goal orientated.
Yeah.
So I absolutely didn't want to go down that path, but I learned from that. And then, towards the end of school, had an aptitude for finance, law, lent into that, had some guidance along the way, did reasonably well, put my head down year 11, did pretty well in year 12, and then was able to get into a university course that I probably had no thought I'd ever get into in law and commerce, which my dad was sort of guiding me down. So, as you said, happens very quickly.
Yeah.
Everyone at that point in their life think this is the most important decision I'm ever going to make in my life. And it's, you can't change that.
Yeah.
So, it's quite a lot for a kid, really, 16, 17 to have on their shoulders of determining their next 70 years of their life.
Yeah.
So for those people out there, it's not the biggest decision you're ever going to make.
Yeah.
It's a small one on the step. It's a choose your adventure at that point in time. You've got two forks. I think I was like, what else would I like to do? Because that design creativity was like architecture.
Yeah.
I think I did work experience at like a graphic design company. And that's definitely changed quite a fair bit. But it was quite an interesting, fast, quick journey. And then you're thrust, because I was quite goal driven, I wanted to get onto the next thing from year 12 into university. I think it was 6.5 year course.
Yeah.
So then you're into the next journey. I know a lot of people take, say, gap years and transition years, which I was only 17 at the time. So I was pretty young going into college or university there. So it all happens super quick.
Yeah.
And you're on to the next thing. And before you know, you're now applying for jobs.
Yeah.
You're thinking, had part-time jobs throughout, always worked. But then you're applying for professional jobs and you're thinking, okay, the fun times that a lot of people refer to, which you don't think at the time, but you're studying, you're working part-time, life's pretty good. Still exams and studying and deadlines and stuff, but in the scheme of things, life's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then you've got to go out into the professional world.
And
So-
it's a whole different ball game sometimes.
Totally. That's the real world kind of starts there, right?
Yeah.
And that whole next step's pretty daunting again. And I think it's only getting more and more challenging for people to get a full-time job in the career of their choice for a company or a business that sort of inspires them a little bit. So, it's an absolute whirlwind. I probably wouldn't have it any other way. But it's definitely not the end of your journey. It's just the start, and it's a part of that adventure that you're going to go on.
I think it's quite normal too for it to be less rigid these days. Like, I think it's very interesting because even, when I was going through uni and leaving year 12, like it was quite rigid as well. That was
Absolutely.
just, I feel like that was the norm. Like it was what everybody else did. It was what mom and dad did. It was what, you're growing up in my household, it was always like, okay, well, you got to get the good grades, you got to go to uni, blah, blah, blah,
Yes.
right? It was just the norm. And I think I feel like for a lot of people these days, it is becoming not less important, but people are realizing that, okay, well, maybe I am going to take the gap year, or maybe I do want to dabble in a few different areas and figure out what. And I think that's brilliant. Because I think you hit a key thing, like you doing the creative outlets, and that kind of getting you through a little bit, and you kind of being able to get that avenue as well is quite important, because you learn different skills as well. Unless you're like, if you're just rigid in one way, like you can take skills from other avenues and use it in, you're probably using it now, for example. um when you were graduated, when you were going through the corporate space, what did that look like? Did you know that this is what you wanted to do for the rest of your life? Was like, what was your mindset like then?
Yeah, as I mentioned, it's a massive decision,
Mm.
and I've always been head down, pretty humble, and I think I put 50 applications out there to different companies. In it was sort of accounting firms at the time. I probably wanted to explore the legal path. As a lawyer, I was admitted to the bar, so I had that opportunity. But I was opportunistic in a sense that at towards the end of my degree, I wanted to start transitioning towards that corporate job, so that it wasn't go out into the workforce 100% and be brand new. I wanted to get a bit of a head start there, so I applied for jobs with accounting firms. Again, didn't know how I would be perceived, uh, what they were looking for. It's completely new to just a casual part time job that you have as a kid going through college. So I think I put 50 applications out there, and I was overwhelmed by firms and companies saying yes, like come on in. So I just treated that as something along the journey, as an opportunity for me to learn and to develop, to meet companies, to meet people, to learn more about what they do, what I'm interested in, as a bit of a mirror. Is the next step of my journey. Let's just throw everything at it, get all of the data points, all of the feels, see what I align with, and then try and make the best decision at that point in time. So I think for a month, I just went out and put the cheap suit and tie on at the time. I think it was the same one every time, and just interviews after interviews with all these different types of accounting firms, global firms, local firms, to just because I didn't think that any of these companies would be interested in me, because I was still on my journey and quite young. So yeah, I was pretty overwhelmed by the process. Had some great opportunities there with some global firms, and ended up getting a lot of offers back. Some companies said, "No, you're not right for us," and I later learnt, and they said to me, "We knew you wouldn't select us because we're just a local company down the road. We know that you were sort of made for more." I use that opportunity to ask for feedback as well. It's quite humbling to go on an interview and not get offered the job. And a lot of people, I think, will say, "Okay, on to the next one." But I think it's quite interesting to go, "Hey, do you have any feedback for me?" And you can learn from that. So got a lot of feedback, but yeah, had a few offers I was lucky enough to choose from, and selected a global firm which created some opportunity and pathway for me, that I could work locally in Adelaide, that had offices all over the world, had a legal department, had a commercial department that I could move into if that's the way that I wanted to go. So I just tried to find the open door that had the most opportunity for me. Sort of had my North Star at the time was I want to work internationally, Wall Street. I want to get some exposure there. And they had offices all around the world. So I thought, perfect. That's a potential vehicle for me. Very well respected name. Learned for some great people. Met some amazing minds and people interviewing me there. And I thought to myself, that's a path that I want to take. It's not going to be easy. The caliber's super high. I knew I was going to have to put in some serious work. But again, presented myself with a few opportunities, did everything that I could in my power to give myself the best possible chance, and pursued that. learned from the process, and at the time made the best decision possible with the information I had. And that took me down another path. I could have chosen a different firm, a local firm, or one a bit more specialized. But that's the path I went down. And then that sort of unlocked the next part in the journey. So now I had sort of part time there 3 days a week. And then after university, it was five. It wasn't really 3 days a week. It was pretty, now that I look back on that, it was pretty cool. 3 days a week, come in, junior, not too accountable, learning. You're starting to make a bit more money than you were casually. You're mixing it with some great people. Got some great friends, lifelong friends from that path as well. And the world's starting to unlock for you, working on some amazing clients, learning about amazing businesses. So that was probably the best time in my professional, early professional days there. But we were still working hard, long days. We were the junior staff on the cheap billing rates. So we were the best source of labor, right? Yeah. So it's like, all right, get these guys and just ground them into the absolute dust. But that is like I saw it as a rite of passage. It's definitely different being a business owner now, and the expectations of junior staff, which is a challenge, but just working hard. But I tried to have this mindset of, yes, it's hard, it's difficult, but this is experience. And that's how they sell it to you and how they can get you to work for a low salary compared to these days. But great experience. Had to do additional study in terms of the chartered accounting program as well, while managing professional life. So at that stage, you're working 5 days a week. You're studying every other moment as well. You've got the temptations of social life and everything outside of that. You've got to have a bit of fun as well. It's not all work. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. And that all happens in a blink of an eye. And then all of a sudden you're in your mid-20s, and then you're faced with the next fork in the road. Is this the direction that I want to go down as well? Like you said, go to school, get good grades, go to university, get a good job, white picket fence, family, moving through that. And being from Adelaide, that was pretty much the common path. But there was definitely something about me which, while I respected that, and a lot of people had that in their pathway, I always wanted something more, something different. I always had that thirst for adventure, kind of choose your own adventure. But I just wanted to experience more. I wanted to experience the world. I wanted to see what was out there, and I didn't want to be boxed in. I didn't want to be on the conveyor belt of life. For me, I just wanted a little bit more. I can definitely see people as to why and how that became the norm, because that's a great life, especially in Adelaide. It's a great place to live. But for me, I just had that itch that I needed to scratch. So I definitely wanted to see where that then led me.
What was your way of finding adventure? You said that you feel like you wanted more, you wanted that adventure, you didn't want that, that's, I don't want to say standard path, but it is kind of a common path, really. What was your way of finding adventure? How did you like to explore and test the waters a bit?
Yeah, I think for me, that was travel. That was exploration. Lucky enough, the firm had clients that were interstate, so I was able to travel for work, which was super cool. That was an adventure. Meeting new people from different cities around Australia was great to build the network. But for me, yeah, I wanted a little bit more. I wanted to live overseas. I wanted to experience that. Was lucky enough to have a few sort of personal side quests and missions through university to go overseas in the summer break, and then come back and then work. So had a few opportunities, adventures to see sort of what was out there. A bit of a boomerang, go out, come back, and then see, okay, did that land? Is that somewhere where I want to go? Or so that was good to do on a small scale. But for me, yeah, Adelaide was great and a great place to grow up and to start your career. But for me, the next step was, I wanted to go internationally. But the next step in the journey and the adventure for me was going interstate. So actually left my first professional job and looked for a job in Melbourne, which was like, okay, while it's not New York or London, this is a step up for me in a different. You've gone from a big fish in a small pond to being a small fish, which is sort of daunting but exciting as well. So yeah, then getting opportunity to live and work in a different city, remap everything that you know. I was lucky enough to have a lot of family and grew up going to Melbourne quite a lot. So it was still familiar, but it was still new. But for me, okay, new, exciting, different job, different people, different clients. So that was the next adventure there for me. I still had visions of living and working overseas. A lot of people in the finance or legal profession go to the UK, but for me, I was always enamored by the US. So that's a lot harder to do, visas, etc. So of course, trusting me, I don't want to just go down the standard path. I want to probably try and find the most difficult path to do that not everyone else does, buck the trend a little bit, because that's what kind of lit my fire. So that was still in the back of my head there. So yeah, the journey, the adventure continues. I think it was just trying to make the next best decision at that time until the path opens up, or you have this real burning desire to then chase that next thing, the next thing. So yeah, Adelaide to Melbourne, and then that was the next step on the journey for me.
You were saying earlier that sport was quite a important role in the early days. I assuming it was throughout this whole path that you have been describing. What did that look like behind the scenes? What was sport like for you? And were you still able to be active throughout all of this? So what was that kind of side of you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think sport, being a kid in Australia growing up, it's in our DNA. So whether that's in the backyard playing cricket or going down the oval to kick the footy, for me it was awesome. It was an outlet. Didn't necessarily come from my parents. I think they always thought, "How's our kid like so in love with sport?" For me, it was an outlet, massive sort of social side. I think my parents wanted me to play tennis. They said that's how you're going to meet your future wife one day and get you into the elite. But whilst I was okay at tennis, I enjoyed it, but I always enjoyed that team aspect. So from being a little kid, I think I loved cricket as a kid. My school was too small to have a cricket team, so my parents actually went, "Okay, he actually really loves cricket. We're going to start a cricket team." So I think I was 5 or 6, and they started a cricket team at the local indoor cricket centre, and then we were off and running. So yeah, from very early days, sports always been an integral part to my life. I think it's an important balance and it's important outlet, social side. Some of my best friends, and not only in Adelaide but across Australia and internationally, I've met through sport, fitness, training, working out, etc. So yeah, it's been an underlying sort of theme to my life, especially when you're in the books or looking at a book or a computer screen, need an outlet. Always a great outlet for me. Always had a competitive edge. I love to pursue that on the field. Sort of go out to battle there with your closest friends to try and achieve a common goal. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. You always, a bit cheesy, but you always learn from that. And I think for me, what I built from that, the sense of community, connection with people, the social aspect, absolutely. It's almost a mirror to life in that you don't always win. Not everyone gets a trophy, but you learn a lot from that. The resilience, the heartbreak, you get injured, you miss out on winning a game, miss the championship, you lose, to actually winning as well, and what that triumph feels like, all the hard work you've put in, all the setbacks. So played, countless sports throughout. Soccer was a pretty common theme for me. loved that, and that ignited my appreciation for travel as well. Soccer teams or football teams all over the world, Madrid or Paris or wherever it might be, Brazil. So had that connection with sport, and it was a great vehicle for me to create some amazing friendships, some amazing moments. I still had that when I traveled. I was playing state league soccer in Melbourne when I traveled. When I moved over there, while I had some friends over there, I didn't have a big friendship group, so I thought sport's a great avenue for me to do that. So that was great. And then always sort of working out, keeping fit, having that balance has always been key. So then that transition from playing competitive sport to training in the gym, working out, whether that's through just normally going to the gym, call it Globo gyms, just doing back and buys and legs, into other sports as well. Like I was always interested about how the best athletes train, and reverse engineering that. I'd see certain people out there and go, wow, they're super fit, they're athletes. How do they do it? So MMA was massive once, and just how people are training to do that was fixated for that. I did that for a couple of years in Melbourne, and that was super cool. And then went on to the next thing, and sort of that's how I uncovered sort of CrossFit, because that's how a lot of the early fighters, you go, okay, what these guys are going out there to fight for their life, how are they preparing for that, and how they trained, and then that sort of unlocked the next thing for me. And that was, always a passion, because you're so like professional world, you're working late, your diet can slip. So I think always having that underlying sense of health, fitness, well-being is super important, and a balance. So it's a thread that has tied my life together, even to where I am today.
Mm. You were saying that when you were working, you had something come up, like it was more of a side hustle. What was that, and how did that come to be?
Yeah, so this is probably the next adventure on the journey there. Was working out in a gym in Melbourne. It was a CrossFit gym. Shout out CrossFit South Yarra. So we were just working out, and it was like back then it was pretty grungy. It was dark gym, sort of fire breathing. You come in, and it was like a rite of passage if you wanted to throw up after the workout.
A lot of CrossFit gyms were like that.
So it's like, wow, okay, sign me up.
Yeah.
So yeah, working out there. I'd work during the day. I'd train before work. Back then, I don't know how I did it, but I'd finish work and then I'd train again at night. It was just absolutely loving it. So huge part of it, and a lot of it was just that constant advancement and getting a little bit better, a little bit fitter, the extra rep in your workout, the extra kilogram on the end of your barbell. So I was always looking for that edge. It sort of comes back to my personality, competitive, chasing a goal, always wanting to get better, always striving. So yeah, there was an element to that. And then the distinct memory that sits with me is that it was all sort of communal equipment. You didn't come with your own stuff and put it down and work out. And there was something on the wall, which was where all the jump ropes sat. And every time there was a jump rope in the session, you'd have to go over there, pick one of these tangled ropes up, and you'd groan because it would be tangled, ripped, too long, too short. It would just kill you. So you're working so hard, and then you get this bogus rope, and it can sort of spin you out. So I was like, oh man, I've got to fix this. Like, I reckon I'm just going to buy my own one. And I remember coming back to Adelaide, and a good friend from school, Ben, we reconnected because he was also training in a CrossFit gym, and I wanted to still get a workout in when I was back to see the family. We sort of shared the same pain point together, and there was this rope that I was eyeing off in the US, another link to the US, with super fast, look really slick, and no one else had it. So, of course, all right, I've got to have this rope. This is going to set me apart. I'm going to walk in one day, and I'm just going to absolutely blitz the workout, and people are going to think, how'd you do that? So tried to buy this rope. Ben had the same issue. It's like, all right, man, like let's see if we can buy one. We'll get one for each other. And the company said, well, no, back then, early days of the internet, sort of 2011, 2012, internet still pretty early, buying things on the internet still pretty early. And they said, no, we can't ship it to you. We don't even ship to Australia. Australia, where even is that? So I said, all right, like, help me out here. They said, no, you're going to have to become a business and set up a wholesale account to get access to our product. It's like, all right, that sounds like a lot of work, but I'm not adverse to that. So, okay, set up an email and send it through. Then they said, oh, no, you have to buy a wholesale amount of the product. So I think it was like 50 ropes. And I thought, 50, like we only need 2. So, and at this stage, I was going to work every day. I had my suit and tie. I had a wardrobe in my office looking over. I think the MCG was in the background. So I kind of thought I'd made it. Had my own office. Had a tailored suit with a view over Melbourne. So awesome. But still wanted that something else. So we ended up buying 50, laid the credit card down, bought 50. What had we done? I think it was like $1,000, which for us was a lot at the time. Doesn't sound much now, but for 2 guys who just wanted a sort of a $50 jump rope each. So we actually bought it. It arrived. I had it. I gave Ben and I split 50-50. He went to sell it to his friends in the gym in Adelaide, and then I was selling it to my friends in the gym in Melbourne. We got a jump rope each, and we thought that's the end of it. Awesome. We were kings in the gym. Everyone was like, all of a sudden we've gone from these ropes in the corner that are tangled, everyone hates, to now everyone's got these super fast ropes. Everyone's killing it. Unfortunately for me, that everyone was on the same page again. I didn't get any edge, but that kind of started something there. So again, they wanted us to be a wholesale customer. They wanted us to be a business. We kind of played that facade, but really we just wanted 2 jump ropes. So it's something that we were both passionate about. We were both in our professional roles, didn't think too much of it. But then our friends at the gym sort of said, well, what else can you get? What else can you get? So that was sort of the moment for us where people were telling us that they wanted more. We were interested in it, always loved a bit of a hustle, a bit of a wheel and deal. So that kind of sparked something in us. And my big learning there is the concept, come back to that aptitude and interest. There's a old Japanese concept, I don't know if you've heard of it, called ikigai, where it's that concentric circles. And then in the middle is that's what you should be doing. That's your ikigai, where you have that something that you're good at, something that you're passionate about, and then combining them together. So it was something that we sort of started off the cuff, a bit of a passion project, and then it sort of snowballed from there. So before work, after work, we were moonlighting, trying to find products, source products, set up a website, and then that's sort of the next adventure in the journey. In that, another fork in the road, no business plans, no financial projections, or nothing crazy there. I think I just set up a bank account with a friend at a gym. A friend from school at the bank set me up with a bank account. So all of a sudden we're a business, we're in operations. So yeah, that was another thing. I didn't think too much of it, but then fast forward 13 years, that then became the next part of my journey, which I didn't map out. I didn't have that on the 10, 20, 50-year plan. Here I was wearing a suit and tie to work, working in corporate finance, pursuing that professional journey, still wanting to get to Wall Street, work on the big deals, have a crazy lifestyle over in New York. But then this kind of door opens, and then it's okay. Do you want to keep going down that path, or what do you want to do with this crossroads?
So you had this crossroads, you had that goal of still, wanting to go to Wall Street, but then this new avenue comes open. What was that deciding factor? When did it get to the stage where you had to decide, oh, do I want to go on route A or route B?
Yeah, it's a good question, and thinking back to that, there was probably an opportunity I had at the time. This thing was kind of like taking up more and more of our time, and that was exciting. Uh, Standing up a website, I think we paid $400 to a friend, got some logos, and here we go. Started to get a couple of orders coming in, and I'll never forget the first order that we got. Shout out to Nicholas Corkill from Tasmania. I think his wife got really upset that we made a big deal about him placing an order because he tried to do it sort of undercover there. But we'll never forget his name. That first order started growing from there, and we're thinking, oh, geez, what are we going to do here? So that started building up. Still sort of had a job there, but it was pretty early. It was only sort of a couple of months in. And at that time, I had an opportunity to move to the US. So basically left my professional job. I went over to the US with no salary, no real earnings, had a little bit of savings, but there was an opportunity there. And at that point in time, you're at a crossroad. Do you go the safe route where you're getting paid a salary, you know what's coming, you know what the next steps are? Or do you chase that adventure, the opportunity, the door that opens? Again, the US, that was something that I dreamt of. Do I go down that path and try and make something of this? And yeah, it was heart-wrenching to make that call because I thought, am I making the right call? Everything's telling me that's the wrong call, dude. Like, you've studied so much for this. You're in this position. You worked so hard for this. Like, why are you throwing it all away for this small opportunity that you have? It's the absolute unknown. But contrary to my decision-making skills prior, I went down that path. And that, again, unlocked another door for me. I was in the US. For me, and for a lot of people, it's like the epicenter of fitness. I've got that, love for fitness and training and a passion for that. All of a sudden, starting to formulate a business. My business partner, Ben, was still working his full-time job. He was doing the hard yards he kept the stock in Adelaide. And I was sort of doing more of the digital stuff, the marketing, and he was going down in his lunch break and shipping it out. But for us, kind of, we had a bit of a chat and we thought, okay, well, if I'm over in the US, I can get access to these brands. I can see what's cool, what's happening, and then we can bring it back into this thing that we're creating in Australia and sort of sell it. So it almost became a no-brainer. So I was a bit of a crusader there going over to the US, and I didn't have a job. I came over with 2 suitcases. I thought I should probably get a job over here. I had a few opportunities, and some recruiters said, we'll absolutely get you a job over here. 2 suitcases, one full of suits, one full of my other worldly possessions. And I did a few job interviews, and I was just like, this just isn't for me. I didn't want to be an auditor. I didn't want to be starting at the bottom again. And I think even the recruiter at one stage said, why don't you walk dogs? I went, really? Like, after all I've studied, and you're a recruiter and you're putting me up with these like American banks and American firms, and now you're telling me to be a dog walker? I thought that was like crazy. But this thing on the side was just growing. We were getting more orders through. I was spending more and more time on it every waking moment. I was connecting with brands. I was meeting people. So took a bit of a chance on that pretty early days. But we just saw it starting to grow and grow and grow. The more work we put in, the more we got back, the more orders. And for me, again, that competitive edge, wanting to drive, and that next thing. Okay, if we were making $1,000 a day, like $100 a day, getting one order, then $1,000 a day, just kept stepping up, and that was fueling, driving forward, and we were just kind of building the plane as we were flying it. So pretty crazy to think, left the professional world behind, started this thing on the side, plumbing every sort of dollar back into the business, a lot of sweat equity early. And I mean, now it's kind of commonplace. People just pop businesses up in the digital world. That's a massive unlock. But back then it was pretty unknown. You can't go to university for it. There wasn't YouTube tutorials. There wasn't AI that you can learn everything in a minute. So it was pretty crazy. It was a massive risk at the time. It still is a risk, but again, it was just an opportunity and a path along the journey that I owed it to myself to give it a red hot go.
Mm. So, what was the process like for you then? Because you hit a key thing. I think these days, there are those YouTube tutorials, there's AI, there's things that people can, build skills with. I think too, sometimes we build, but then we forget, okay, well, I still need to do the thing, right? Like, there's only so many podcasts, or there's only so many, like, so much education you can get, really. And it sounds like you and your business partner, again, you didn't have access to that, so you had to figure all of that out on your own, really. What was that process like for you? Like, was there any stage where you guys were like, oh no, we need to, like, hold back, we need to learn this and then go for it? Or what was the mindset like with that? Was it all just nope, full steam ahead, or were there any pivots in that regard?
Yeah, it was a wild world back then. Buying things on the internet, sort of 2013, 2014 was a different concept, especially sharing it with my family and friends. They couldn't quite wrap their head around it. I think they're slowly getting there now, but yeah, no tutorials. I think the one thing it comes back to is like ignorance is bliss. You don't know what you don't know. And we were lucky enough to win a competition, a global competition, where they flew us to New York. Shopify, which is a big name now, they had a competition and we won that. A couple of guys from Australia on the global stage had access to amazing mentors there. A handful of them said, "Don't do it. You guys are crazy." Um, Sometimes I wish I listened to them. Other times maybe not. But yeah, you couldn't really learn it. So we would just head forward and figuring it out. And still to this day, we're still figuring it out. But that was the mindset. There's no playbook on this, but always searching out, okay, who is the best in the field? Who is doing this well? How can we learn from that? And that's what I have always prided myself on, is that thirst for knowledge. I'm trying to unlock that next level there. So there were some people that were doing it. We knew a couple of other brands in there that we'd met. There was people that were pretty early days in it that we learned from. Hey, like, can I either listen to what they're putting out there, catch up with them? There was a couple of agencies and stuff, kind of bring them in. A lot of sort of freelance contractors from all around the world, trying to get them in, help us with a little project to unlock that next level for us, and then we'd step up. So yeah, it's like, again, back to that choose your own adventure. We were on this adventure, this journey. We didn't know what was in front of us. There wasn't a book that we could read, but we had a thirst for knowledge, a level of ignorance that no, like, we can figure this out. But because the momentum was there, that was kind of fueling us, and that drive kept us going. So there would be problems like, um, oh, this just doesn't work anymore. What do we do? So it was, we were going to the post office every single day and dropping off the orders. Okay, at what point? How do we figure this out? How do we get a Australia Post account? How do we get them to come to us? This is crazy. How do we integrate our website with all of these other tools? So I think, yeah, thirst for knowledge, knowing that we didn't know everything and there are other people out there that did know these things. So how can we humbly learn from them and reach out to them? Even if it was, oh, we need some photos for the website. Hey, friends, networks who can help us out with that to make us look and feel a little bit more professional. We had a good friend who did some graphic design. He was working for a television station, and in his lunch breaks, he was doing some designs for us. So while we didn't know everything, we kind of leaned on our networks, our friends, maybe sometimes too much, but you've got to sort of do that when you're starting out, to kind of assemble a bit of a team to help us break through the barriers and the challenges there to get onto that next one. But I think always having that mindset of, we don't know everything, we can learn and we can figure it out, I think has carried us through to today.
Yeah. Yeah. And it sounds like too, like you brought up earlier with the sport, like community was quite important to you. And
Yes.
just everything you've described really, I guess, highlights the importance of community and
Yes.
surrounding yourself and maybe building your own community as well in that space. Um, because I think too, it's hard because sometimes people are in the mind space that they can do everything themselves. But again, being a bit more humble and realizing that no, there are maybe more experts in that field or whatever. And I think it does hone in on your skills as well because you pick up a certain thing here and there, and then next time that problem comes, it's a bit easier for you to solve, really. When it comes to like back then versus now, is there any moment that particularly like that you guys talk about that really is like a highlight in the 13 years of that experience, really?
Yeah, there's a few
Yeah.
highlights, a
Yeah.
lot of lowlights, a lot of
Yeah.
challenges, but kind of touch on community, right? And now it's a buzzword. Every brand talks about that. When we started the Wildlife in 2013, that's what we were all about. These gyms were a community. There was a state, national, global community of all these people around the world doing this workout together and posting their times on the internet, like just crazy. And you could travel and you could drop into a gym and all of a sudden these people are your friends, you're working out with them. Like what an experience. So for us, that community has always sort of been there. And the WOD life, WOD meaning workout of the day, we lived a lifestyle around going to the gym and working out. And the people that we did that with and the community was a huge part, was the absolute soul and the essence of that. So while it's a buzzword now and every brand talks about that, for us, the business was sort of harnessing and celebrating that. Back then, there was no central source of a way to tie the community together. It was quite fragmented. Yes, you had like a couple of websites here and there, but I think motivating, sharing inspiration, sharing athletes' journeys and stories. We want to try and support athletes on their journey as well, provide them with a bit of an unlock. I think community's been an absolute foundation to everything that we did. But sometimes being an online business, you don't necessarily know what your community looks like, who your customers are, because people are placing orders online. So there's probably a few moments in time across the journey where, you're working at a computer all day, every day. Yeah, you've got your community at the local gym or when you travel, which is there. But I think there was a first one where we drove a truck from Adelaide to Wollongong. Ben and I chucked everything in the back there, and we had a 3x3 stand. And this was early days in the business, but we thought, who's going to turn up here and buy our stuff? Like it was quite daunting. We packed everything that we owned into that truck, but there were people that turned up to the event wearing our product that we got to meet, and that really fueled us. Wow, like these people are out there. They're not just names on a screen. These are people living the same lifestyle as us, sort of buying into what we've created and feeling a part of something bigger than themselves. And I think that's really what community gets back to, is that there's something bigger than yourself. So we've always tried to have that as a foundation to everything that we do. As you get bigger, that community grows. We've had even simple moments like we go to an event interstate or even internationally, and there's a run club or a training club where you turn up at a gym, and whether we host a workout, give a few free t-shirts, put on some coffees or drinks after, but basically work out with other people in the community, and you might not have known them before, but after that workout, you've sweated together. Now you have a bond. That's super powerful. So along the way, those sort of moments, which are, it might only be an hour or 2 hours, but meeting more people that are part of our broader community that have been connected through the brand and the business is just super cool. And that sort of fuels us, why we do what we do, why we put in the hours, why Ben in particularly spends so much time on the product and crafting that, because it's got to be right, because we want people to love it as much as we do. So you toil away and you go through all the heartaches and the challenges of the business, but it's these moments in time where you get to see the impact that has on someone's life through, hey, I love your brand. It inspires me to work out, to train. Thanks for the motivation. I love the the apparel that you use, or I got you new shoes, and that's helped me on my goals, or whether it's supporting an athlete to try and achieve their journey. While I like to think I'm an athlete, I'm definitely not a professional athlete. So to be a part of an athlete's journey and to see them, discover what they're capable of is super cool. And to be a part of that, and that really fuels everything that we do. It's bigger than us. It's the community that drives us. They'll give you honest feedback. Maybe you don't want to hear that feedback, but that's honest feedback as well. And something throughout my life of being, hey, take that feedback on board. You can learn from it. You can get better from that. I think that's a common theme for me. So community driven moments throughout our time where we get to connect, hang out, work out with people and understand the actual human impact of what you're doing. I don't think you can beat that.
No. And I think back to 2012, 2013, like the CrossFit community was quite special as well when it was first starting. Cause I think back like to my experience going to the box and, going through the workout, but then also going out for coffee after, or
Absolutely.
like I would even bring my uni work there and do my uni work like after uni or whatever. Like it was quite special. In my head, it was like the first community kind of activity sport really because in that whole fitness space it was that or it was go to a global gym, right? So I think it was quite special, and I guess recognizing the importance of that community is quite important really in that sense. But if the person listening right now to the person listening right now if they had an idea in their head, let's say they're at that stage, what is something that you want to tell that person? An idea of, they wanted to start something, or they might be a business, it might be a career change, it might be anything really. What is something that you want to tell that person listening, do you think?
Yeah, amazing question. I get hit up quite a fair bit from friends and even random people going, "Hey, I've got this idea. What do you think?" And even before coming in here today, a good friend who's been along my journey is starting a new venture,
Yeah.
and he's helped me a lot in my career, in my path. And now he's starting something new, and he's asking me. So I think a lot of us feel like we've got to have it all figured out. I was there. Everyone else is kind of there. I've got this idea. I need this full business plan. I need to have everything mapped out. And I think there's no better time to start than now. The best day was yesterday. But hey, the second best time's today. So you don't have to have it all figured out. If you've got an idea, you can pursue that idea. It doesn't cost a lot. There's things that you can do to explore the feasibility of it. You can definitely, like with AI now, you can have a fully fleshed out business plan printed and ready to go. And you can ask a lot of questions back and forth to stress test your idea. It doesn't necessarily have to be a brand new idea that no one's heard of. Sometimes they're almost too hard because people haven't had that or aware of that, and to get wrap their head around it, it's almost too hard. It can be something that already exists with a slight tweak or your vision or flavor over the top of that. So I think there's no better time than now to explore that. The world and the barriers that we faced back then, um, people not wanting to ship to Australia, is crazy. That just doesn't exist now. The democratization of information, as you touched on earlier, there's too much information out there. It becomes overwhelming. So don't feel like you need to have it all figured out. Just that next step. Just focus on the next step forward, because that's the most important one. Because, yeah, you're going to come across things that you don't know and things that you haven't thought about, but it's just that next step. And I think that's the important link for me. Even my friend, before coming in here today, we were just focusing on one thing that he could do in that moment to move his idea forward. And I talk about the concept of like, uh, you're being in the jungle and you're swinging between the vines. You're looking for that next vine to grab a hold of to take you forward, or jumping on a lily pad. Yeah, there's this huge like river that you've got to cross, but you can't just jump from one side to the other. You've got to hop on the lily pads across, and they all play a key role there. So I think you, in this world of you've got all this information at your fingertips, there's so much going on, there's so much overwhelm. You've got social media by everyone sharing the highlights of, hey, this is how easy business is. I'm killing it. These are my numbers. Check out my Lambo. Like, yeah, okay, that's one. Realize that's not real life, because that, it may happen for 0.0001, but that's not real life. Don't feel that that's where you need to be. Just go that next step, that next moment in the journey to move towards what you're trying to create. So have a level of feasibility there. Friends and family are always good. Lean on them to give you feedback. It's what we did early days. Hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? Get some feedback early. You do need feedback from people that aren't just going to tell you everything that you want to hear. I think that's important. So get the right people around you to help stress test the idea. You can always sit on it for a little while, just think it through. Because like me, I'll have millions of different ideas, but then might not all be good ones. So if that idea keeps coming back to you, you wake up in the middle of the night thinking about it, you're in the shower thinking about it, you're on the drive home thinking about it, why not act? Why not take that next step? But you don't have to completely leave your job, mortgage your house. You can do things along the way to get that sample, to utilize AI to vibe code it up, and just get that next step along the journey, because you don't have to have it all figured out.
I love that because I think too, like it makes it less scary when you think of it that way and you think of it step by step, really. Because I find a common issue a lot of the times too is the comparison factor. Like you were
Absolutely.
saying, like we have access to the world these days in the pocket, in our hands, and like I feel we see all of these highlight reels. We see the Nikes, the big companies, and people expect to launch and be successful overnight these days. Like everything, we're living in a fast paced world. And I don't think it's like that. I think it's very rarely like that, even in a social media space, even with the access that we have, it's very rarely like that. So it makes it feel less scary if you think, okay, well, just what's the next step, and
Yes.
like learn from there. Because again, I think there's way more reasons to talk yourself out of something than there is sometimes to start. And
Yes.
that's something that I hear all the time. People that have been on the podcast is, they're toying with an idea and there's always more reasons to not do something than there is to start sometimes. But
Yes.
sometimes that's kind of the reason why you should start, maybe depending on who you are or how your mind space is, I
Yes.
guess.
Yes.
When it comes to, I guess, like comparison, did you guys find yourself comparing at all, or how did that look like for you guys?
Always.
Yeah.
I just think that's sort of society and
It's
how we're wired and
natural.
how we're built. Try and compare aspirationally. It is a very difficult thing, because even to this day, I'll open up my Instagram and see guys that have just popped up a business and where they're at and think, man, like that's crazy. Why can't we be there? So that can be debilitating, especially when you're starting as well. So you think, I've got to be at this level. My content needs to be this. It's what my product needs to be. But trying to channel that and use that aspirationally in Australia compared to the US, two different worldviews. You've got Australia, tall poppy syndrome. That's probably where that more like reasons not to do something than to do something. But like ask yourself, why not? Coming on this podcast today, why not say yes? Why not give it a go? Why not explore that itch to see if there's something there? You can find hours in the day if it's important to you. Wake up earlier, go to bed later, spend a little bit of your weekend. That's definitely what we did early. So I think there's an opportunity to lean into that. But it's also understanding that, social media, the content out there, it's a highlight reel. Speak to a lot of people out there, lucky enough to have lots of people in the network that yeah, some people are absolutely killing it. They've they're flying first class. They've got the car, the watch, all of that stuff. But I think everyone is on a different path, a different point in their journey, and different things are important to different people. And you don't know their situation, what their business P&L looks like. Uh, it's a bit of a keeping up the appearances, but that's probably that American and US mentality is like the heck yeah, that's awesome, go for it. They're like almost complete. We're quite similar, but very different in that the culture over there that I experienced was like they love people succeeding. They get behind that. They want to see you win. Whereas in Australia, it's like, hey, mate, you're getting a little bit too big for your boots here. Let's just like bring you back a bit. But then in America, it's completely different, and they're like, heck yeah, like that is awesome. Keep going. It's like fuel. So I don't think you probably need a little bit of both. You still need to keep yourself in check, but I think that comparison can be your best friend if you use it in the right way to aspire, to drive you, to see what can be achieved. I think that's really cool. I still do that to this day. I get a lot of inspiration from that. But naturally, you want to look at things and go, why can't I do that? How come our content doesn't look like that? How come, what we dreamt of didn't turn out that way? But I think you've just got to be mindful of who you're comparing to. For us at TWL to compare ourselves to Nike, we're just playing different games, different budgets, etc. But I think we still want to aspire to that. Absolutely. So comparison can be the thief of joy, but if you use it in a way that is aspirational, inspirational, motivational, that can act as your fuel. And quite often where people they don't want there's more, as you said, there's more reasons not to do something than to do something. Like think change the mindset and go, what happens if I did do that? What's the best thing that could happen? Because naturally, us as humans and creatures, we're trying to protect ourselves. So if we flip that, it's a bit harder and you've got to lean into it, but you just don't know what can happen. So I think try and lean into that. Get the motivation from the comparison rather than they're doing this, that all looks too hard. I'm never going to get to that point. Therefore, I'm not going to do. Try and flip it. What happens if this works? I get some traction, people love it. That will fuel you on your journey.
Yeah. And you hit a key point earlier on too. Like, I don't know that you need to leave your 9 to 5 right away, like you were saying. Like, I think too, yes, we all have other responsibilities sometimes
sure.
as well. And there's been many people on this podcast that have said that nope, they've quit, they've gone all in and it worked out for them, and that's amazing. But I don't think that's the experience for everybody, and I don't think everybody can go that route. So I think like if you are comparing and you're using that for fuel, you don't also need to wake up one day and be like, nah, I'm just gonna not go to work and like, go all in, because I think there are other ways in this day and age as well to do things really.
For sure. You can burn the boats, and some people need that because they need to go all in on something, because otherwise that kind of safe 9 to 5 is just holding them back. So some people, burn the boats and go all in. But I think for the large majority, you don't need to burn the boat. Still keep a boat at the harbour, still keep the paycheck coming through, start to get a little bit of traction and confidence. And you can always just slowly transition. Like you can 9 to 5, you can cut down your workloads, you can, change jobs, whatever. Like there's something out there for everyone, and we're not all built the same.
Yeah. Now, for the person listening right now, Andy, what is one thing that you want to leave them with? Whether it be something that you touched on today, something else, what is one thing that you want to leave them with?
Yeah, quite deep and profound there. I think that people need to know that you're capable of more than you think you are. You can achieve so much more. So try and unlock that within yourself. Don't hold back. throw your name into the ring there, pursue your passion, try and chase the dream, because one day we'll wake up and go, what was this? What was the whole point of this? So I want to try and empower people to have a big goal and to find a way to chase it down.
Love it. Let's leave it there because that was awesome. Awesome way to end it. But thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for joining me and chatting with me today. I think the listener definitely has gotten a lot out of today's episode. So thank you, Andy.
Awesome. Thanks for the opportunity.